We're going to talk today about why people are spending more in the face of an ever growing pandemic because technically we have less food, we have less uh, we have less technology, cars. The supply and demand is definitely there. And so at the same time, when we have all of these shortages, why are people spending more? I mean, we have got inflation. I mean, just think about this for a second. We have more people in lower paying jobs right now. We have more people not wanting to return to work. We have more people, more jobs, I should say, open and available that they can't even fill with people right now. We have inflation. Like I said, we have this technology shortages, we have shortages on cars, and even shortages on food. And while it might not seem it when you walk into the grocery store, when you walk into the grocery store, you don't actually, in some areas, notice that there's a shortage on food. If you are looking at the big picture, though, you see that, for instance, rice, which makes up a huge chunk of what feeds the world, is struggling right now because of, some say, the climate. So there's lots happening with, a couple of years ago, there was too much rain. Now there's not enough rain. And there's actually a rice shortage. So, I mean, I'm bringing all these things up because I want to really just imprint with you the importance of all of these shortages where we should be saving money, where we should be, looking at where we really want to focus on money, but yet as a society, we're spending, I think it's like 45% more than the average over the past 20 years. So why is this happening? Is it happening because we have the extra money? Now, some banks, like Bank of America, is claiming that people that used to have $1,000 and $2,000 now have $5,000 to $7,000. I don't know that I agree with that. I agree that maybe their clientele may have that. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm saying in general, I'm seeing a lot of people struggling. We know that the poverty rate is rising. So what we might be seeing, or what they might be seeing, is the disparity of the people that have money are getting more money, but they might not be seeing the people that don't even have accounts, and they're not actually letting us know how many people have dropped accounts. So, yeah, if you have 10,000 people that own accounts in 2000, say 17, and they're all doing, let's just say they all have $1,000 in their account. Now, fast forward 2021, now maybe you have 5,000 people, but they all have $7,000 in the account. But what happened to the other 5,000 people? Now, I'm not saying this is happening. I'm saying it's possible because it just makes sense to me if the poverty rate is rising to that extent, if there's that many people that are not working because there's only lower paying jobs. Like I know that people are saying, oh, there's so many jobs out there, but what are those jobs? You know, are all of these jobs managers at tech companies? Probably not, or movers and shakers? Probably not. Most of the jobs that are available are more frontline, more grocery stores, fast food. There's a lot of jobs that are entry level that are available, and people just don't want them because they're not going to make enough money. Their time means more, and they would rather do some side hustles. So, anyway, let's back up because I need to discuss here what this might mean for you as an individual. I know I'm looking at the bigger picture here, but we need to go into the psychotherapy space of why this might be happening. So to me, when I look at statistics that are saying that people are spending more money, 45% of the people are spending more money. Why is this happening when we should be saving money? If this were the Depression or any other time frame where times were harder, there was inflation, where we saw an end in sight, even then people were spending less money and saving and really budgeting. But right now, it seems like a free for all. And it even seems like, oh, cars are harder to get right now, so let's spend more money and get that car. And, people are doing some crazy things right now. So let's look at why this might be happening. Now, I want you to hearken back to when the lockdowns were first happening and everyone was out buying toilet paper. Do you remember what that looked like? People fighting over toilet paper, people with boxes and boxes of toilet paper. Why do you think that was happening? It was happening because they were going through trauma, crisis. I wouldn't say at that point it was trauma yet, but it was a crisis turning into a trauma. So when people are in crisis and they feel like they have no control, there's one area that they often feel like they can control, and that's their level of spending. And when you're in a survival space, if you feel like, well, I can always order food online, I could always go to a restaurant, I can always go to the store, but and most people always have some kind of a canned good in their pantry, right? Or a box of rice, speaking of rice, or a box of pasta. But if you run out of toilet paper, you're definitely out of toilet paper. You can't substitute it. So if you're hungry, you can say, well, I don't have my favorite food, but I can put together some rice and beans. I'm not going to starve. And most people think in those terms, they're not going to starve. But, when you're out of toilet paper, you're out of toilet paper. So people were going very survival on I need toilet paper. I do not want to run out of toilet paper. There is nothing else in the pantry when there's no toilet paper. That's the end. So I feel that people were looking at that survival space of I need to get certain things and I need to have surplus. So fast forward now to what's happening now with the spending. I feel that people are still behaving in a crisis space. I don't necessarily think it means, now, whether or not it's good for the economy as an end result is not what I'm speaking about. I'm speaking about why people might be doing things. So when you look at people now and they are they spending because they have the extra money and they have their savings? And if something would happen, they're not nervous about buying toilet paper or food. They have plenty of money and that's why they're spending. Or are they spending because they're still in that crisis mindset? And some people, when they spend and in crisis, are spending more than they should. And I personally think that's what's happening because you cannot tell me that people are doing all this spending, but yet at the same time, the poverty rate is going up. The other end of this is, does this mean the people that are spending, we're seeing a disparity where there's a lot of people that have more money and they're spending, but there's even more people in poverty and they're not spending. And so that's where I'm, just opening a discussion here. I'm not saying that anything that I'm saying here is correct. I'm not saying that I have the correct hypotheses. I'm saying that it doesn't make sense. And maybe it does make sense. Maybe I just don't know enough and it makes complete sense. But I'm looking at a big picture of we're in a pandemic. Our hospital systems are overworked, even in the smallest communities where there may not be, uh, you know, no beds available. I mean, even in the smallest communities, our hospital systems are overworked. Our society, as a society, just in the United States alone, our medical and health are just taxed. And I mean, as a business and as an individual, we are less interactive, we are more isolated. There are jobs available, but people don't seem to want to take them. And we're just in a really strange situation where we don't really have access to everything that we want. Like I said, we have inflation. And on top of the general inflation, we have shortages. And we're only going to see more and more of these shortages. Right now in Southeast Asia, they're going under another lockdown as I record this. So as they go under lockdowns, we are going to be seeing, especially now moving towards Christmas, less and less technology, vehicles, and the types of things that we traditionally might buy for Christmas gifts for each other, for ourselves. So as you need more and more furniture, because a lot of people don't think about this, as you need more furniture, and it might not be something that you need right away, but in 6 months, you might go, kind of need a new couch. Or uh, the dining room table, we've had this for years, we need to upgrade. Well, guess what? When you go to buy one, it's going to be so much more money because all of that is coming from Southeast Asia. And so if they're under lockdown, there's not going to be as much, and the shipping costs are now getting astronomical. So all of this turns into costs for the consumer. And Home Depot, you're seeing it with wood prices and all of this. Like, we're all seeing the ripple effect of how much things are costing and how little is available, but yet people are spending more. And I can only attribute this to people are spending unwisely because it's a coping strategy for the stress, the crisis, and the trauma that they're feeling. I would love feedback on this. Let me know if you agree, disagree, and hopefully there's a much clearer reason for all of this, but that's what I'm seeing right now from where I sit and the type of work that I do. So let's have a conversation. And by the way, if you're interested in healing financial anxiety, if you're feeling it, go to Amazon. How to Heal Financial Anxiety is my new book. It was a #1 in Amazon new releases. I'm excited about that. So go ahead over there and check that out. Bye.